It's a Saturday, and it's a special day today because 16 years ago, I became a real man. Don't think anything funny. It was me getting married, and in our culture here, that is when you really go from being a boy to being a man. And so 16 years, that was how long it has been. So thank you. You can send me your congrats, and I appreciate that. So one of the biggest lesson I learned about from from being married is that it takes work. It takes work. It takes intent. It takes energy. It takes resources. It takes two people to want to make this happen. And it isn't enough just being staying together and showing up in each other's life. That it itself is not going to be enough. And that is something that I learned with building a 1 person, 1 million all digital business, that showing up isn't enough. Now, I'm sure you have heard of the Woody Allen quote where he say that just showing up, it's half the battle won. And I would even say that it's not even true anymore. Yes, perhaps if you were talking about 10 years ago, just showing up on a consistent basis doesn't have to be every day, but just on a consistent basis is going to give you that great advantage compared to the rest of the people who have not embraced the internet. But in today's context, especially after COVID 19, showing up isn't just enough. Why? Number one, you are showing up, and so are many, many other people, businesses, as well as brands. They are showing up left, right, center, and arguably many of them would have more resources than you. And so just by merely showing up, you're probably just adding a 0.00001% into the entire ecosystem itself. And so for the impact to be felt, you either have to do more or you have to do it in such a way that captures people's imagination, attention, and action. So showing up isn't enough because your content is arguably going to be drowned in the sea of of content that's being created. And like I said, arguably a good percentage of them are even better than you, more well resourced than you, more creative than you. And so showing up isn't even just half the battle won. Now, the second reason why showing up isn't enough is that some people show up and they do the wrong things. I was just browsing through my Twitter feed, and one of the feed that I have curated was focusing on small businesses. And what I saw on my Twitter feed, going back like at least 3 days, what I was saying was merely just people hawking their wares. In other words, they are just there to promote and to say that, hey, I've got this piece of ornament, I got this jewelry that I've created, I've got this tie that it's good for Christmas. I don't know, right? And so they just there to hawk their wear. Now, bearing in mind that these days we are drowning in a plethora of people who are trying to sell us something, and arguably, unless what you are providing is so unique and is so rare, it's going to be a tough sell. And it's going to be tough just because you posted all over the places on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. It's going to be tough. And so people show up, but they do it the wrong way. So, once again, in that context, showing up isn't just half the better one. It's not even true. Now, the third reason why showing up just isn't enough is that some people show up and they got it right. They are here to provide value. They share tips and strategies. They talk about lessons that they have learned. They go behind the scene and they tell you what's your problem and how you can solve them. But guess what? Just like point number one, there are so many other people who are doing the same thing. And so showing up isn't enough anymore. And so the argument that I always hear is that people will say that, you know, whatever that I want to say have already been said, right? Like for example, if I'm going to give or if I'm going to talk about, the best microphone to use for live streaming, for example, by the way, MV7 by Shure, it's, I would say it's a no-brainer because it is not just good, it is robust, it's flexible, and also it's affordable. So Shure MV7. If you're on a budget, then probably the Shure SM58, the good old SM58. It's another great microphone to go by. And so coming back, right? Like if you type in MV7, this microphone itself, you would find a ton of reviews talking about whether is it a good microphone, can it replace the SM7, for example? Is it able to, um, you know, give people that alternative whereby it has both a XLR as well as USB. You'll find easily like 20 to 30 videos talking about that. Now, then the question is, should you add to that content itself? Should you add to the noise that is already out there? And so some people will just create a video or a content about this topic, right? And they just do it, right? But then there is this other group of people who would say that, well, all these people have already done all the reviews. There's nothing left for me to say. Well, you know what? Both of them are wrong. Now, here's what I mean. True, many people are also showing up to provide content, and you're not in competition with them, provided if you understand this principle. True, no one wants to be sold to, they want to buy. And so just going out there, showing up, and hawking away isn't going to work. True, just giving solutions itself isn't going to be enough. And here's what you need to do. So the way I figure it out is the following. Now, you and I can be talking about the same topic. Now, what's going to differ in terms of the way we say it and the way we view this thing is going to come down to this one thing. And this one thing, it's perception. Now, when I talk about perception, I'm not talking about the way that I interpret it. What I'm talking about is the way that I look at this thing from a specific worldview. So my worldview primarily is I'm looking at everything and I'm asking myself, how is this strategic? And the simple reason behind that question, it's this. Now I am building this one person, 1 million business or digital business on the side. This it's but a side hustle, but I'm putting in sufficient hours to work on this business itself. In addition to the client's work that I have to do, in addition to the training that I have to do, in addition to the consulting project that I have to do, in addition to the facilitation work that I do. Now, on top of all that, I am creating this one person, 1 million old digital business. And so, if I do not manage my day in a manner that is going to give me the biggest bang for my buck, I'm going to be all over the place, right? And that was something that I experienced a couple of weeks back, right? I was doing this, I was doing that. There was just no focus at all. And so I literally erased everything and went back to the drawing board. And so I forced myself, I say that I need that level of focus. And the only way to focus and to be able to do it well is just to focus on one thing. And so through my lens, everything I see right now is this going to be strategic? Or how can I make it strategic? And if I cannot answer these two questions, what makes this strategic? And how can I make it strategic? If I cannot answer any of these two questions in an affirmative manner, then I wouldn't pursue this. So if it's something that it's not going to be able to give me that that if I look at something, right? So for example, like creating content, it's not just creating content, it's not just showing up. but I need to show up in a way that I speak about this topic differently from all the other people. And the only way that I can talk about it differently with passion, with authenticity, it's when I'm doing it from my perspective. So you may not agree with me, and that is fine, right? But there will be people who are looking for that point of view. And this is what I am looking at working towards. So if you're the type that, you have so many balls in the air, you've got work, you have got family, you have got, maybe religion, church, you have all this thing juggling, right? And yet you want to be able to carve a bit of time out to create this one person, 1 million or digital business. At this point in time, this ain't going to be your main source of revenue, but because you are well positioned, you are able to invest in a business that it's going to give you that 1 million annual recurring revenue. That's the point. And so everything we do, we have to be strategic. We have to ask ourselves, what is strategic about this? And how can I make it strategic? As long as we are able to answer that two questions in that affirmative, it is good to go. If we can't, then we won't. And so why I say showing up just isn't enough. Look, I mean, you probably have got better time, better use of your time in other places, right? You know, even if you're not creating something, you're better off using the time by getting more rest. So why should you want to be putting in time and just showing up creating content? And the reason why you want to do that is because you have something to say. You have something unique to say. And the unique factor is going to come from your perspective. So your perspective of a particular situation is going to be different from mine. And that's where the uniqueness come in. And that's going to be so authentic and so 100% real that no one is going to be able to replicate that, at least not for a long time. And no one is going to be able to take away that. And that's going to make you unique. That's going to be your brand. And so if you ask me, what exactly is my brand? My brand is strategic. Strategy. As long as I can see that something is strategic, something it's going to give you that 80-20 outcome, right? Put in 20% of the work, give you 80% of the outcome. That's the thing that we want to do. And so, my friends, if that's the thing that you want to get at, then definitely follow this channel because from this day onward, whenever I look at a particular thing, whether it's a tool or it's a strategy or something that needs to be done, it has to be strategic. If it's not strategic, no go. All right. So if you got a question about something's wrong with my iPad, all right. Just wasn't able to wake up the iPad. And so if you got a question, make sure you leave it in the comment, send me a tweet, a DM me, or send me an email, right? Um, Let me know what exactly is the type of content that you want to watch. I mean, what is that one thing that really, really challenge you in building this one person, 1 million or digital business? Let me know and I'll make something for you. With that, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.